Hey there, folks. I'm Dr. Erika Miley, and I am your host of the Soft Science and TwoX Labs. So this is going to be actually a crossover episode for each of them. So TwoX Labs is my continuing education podcast for therapists directly. The Soft Science is for everyone else. This one's a crossover because I don't know how it couldn't be. Just honest. As I was writing this and as I was thinking through what AI as a relationship means right now, because like I have said before in previous 2X Labs episodes, this is just right now. As of today, Monday, November 10th, issues around AI are moving incredibly quickly, and that is part of the reason why, at least I think for therapists, and I'm sure for all of my clients too, that it feels really, really murky about what we should do, what we should engage in, what we shouldn't, how to use it, how not to use it. And so I just wanted to zoom out and really evaluate from as much of a grounded place that I can access in 2025 what AI might mean as a relationship. So I want to just say this because we know that this is the case because Sam Altman, who is the CEO of OpenAI, which is essentially the owner and creator of ChatGPT, came out with what they're seeing as far as changes from 2024 to 2025 and how people of different age groups are using AI. And so in 2025, he says that this year, people are starting to use ChatGPT for emotional support, not just emails. And I can confirm from what I'm hearing from all my colleagues and what I'm hearing from all my clients is that they're using it to write apology texts. They're using it for processing how they're feeling. They're talking through fights with their partners. They even are drafting therapy homework in it. And that one is a little bit more like, okay, like I just don't. You're going to hear me sighing a lot. You just are. You're going to hear me sighing a lot through this because it's just, there's so much to think about and think through from all the directions, whether you're a client or whether you are the therapist or you are the medical professional. And Sam Altman even broke it down per age group. So my age group between the 30s and 40s, I'm 41. We're using it to process through things and rework our thoughts around things. And the younger age group than us, they are using it for everything and more. So they're not putting a text in their group chats without putting it through ChatGPT. So here's the real question, I think, for therapists, and I think the question that all of us are going to be asking our clients: what happens when you start having a relationship with an algorithm? And this could be a relationship from lots and lots of different directions. So let's dig into it and really try to understand what we can right now. So what is the difference between emotional offloading and emotional connection? Because I think that there, of course, there's a fundamental difference between those two things. But what are these two things that we're doing? I hope you got your fidgets because we're gonna need them through this one, y'all. I set up your thinking from like zooming out. What are we doing when we're using it? When we're using it for processing our emotions, what are we doing? Whether it's us as the clinicians or it's all of our clients, what is this now new voice within the human experience that is not a voice that has human characteristics? It just mimics human characteristics. So people are using AI by journaling, role-playing different difficult tasks, practicing empathy. And we have to also ask the question, what psychological needs does this fulfill for us? Does this give us an illusion of predictability? I think so. Does this give an illusion of control? Absolutely. And there is, as many things in our culture in 2025, there is instant validation. And so I'm not here to sit here and say it's all bad. It's everything, that is, we get enough of that. I really want you all to be able to think through this in a slow, methodical way. I want you to be able to ask yourselves, what really is the risks here? I think one of the primary risks with AI as relationship is that it sounds like empathy. It sounds in quotation mark, but the algorithms have no real capacity for care. It is reflecting back to you what you've already given it. So, I mean, I think that 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 for us therapists, when we're trying to help people and we're trying to help people who are at risk, it can absolutely reinforce the loops that people have in their minds that are self-deprecating, that are dangerous for some people. And really, truly, the therapist takeaway for me is that clients using AI as self-reflection isn't inherently bad. It's the absence of informed guidance that's dangerous. The chat bot does not have the same requirements us therapists do. If you're harmed, the chat bot gets, and ChatGPT, specifically OpenAI, gets no repercussions, none. And you might be hearing the corgi who is playing with the cat on the other side of the wall, causing as much trouble as she possibly can. She is the bringer of chaos. That is her nickname in house. Her name is Ruby, for those of you who don't know. So I think as you understand your relationship with AI, if you're using it for therapeutic purposes, self-reflection, journaling, talking through something, the client takeaway truly needs to be AI is a tool that mirrors your own input, and it can't see you and it cannot hold your story safely. All of that information that the chatbot takes from you is not protected. Whereas any of my clients, all of their information is protected, not only just within me, but by the laws that govern my license. And if I were to harm someone, my license can be taken away. A chatbot does not have those consequences. And the only thing that it can spit back to you is what exists on the internet, in addition to whatever you've put into it. So as therapists, we also have to think through, what does this mean for our licenses, our ethics, and how we show up, and the questions we now have to ask all of you who are our clients. So why are we turning to AI? I think one of the largest gaps is cost. Waiting lists and burnout by medical providers, therapists generally as a whole. The therapy access, as much as COVID increased access as far as telehealth goes, once some of the COVID restrictions were lifted, specifically, I'm talking about for us therapists during COVID, we were actually allowed to, if you had, because it was a state of an emergency, if you had a valid therapy license in your state, you were allowed to see anybody in the country, in the United States, which was a huge lift for access in the United States as far as people getting access to therapy. We can talk about another time what that kind of access did and all of that stuff. But that was a huge deal. Now, with some of the COVID rules and all of those things that have been lifted, and I'm not making commentary on that, it has gone back to, better than it was, but it has gone back to your state controls your license, and you, depending on your state's laws, you may or may not be able to get other states meet other states' licensing requirements. So all that to say, therapy access is still an issue, and cost is a giant issue. It has only become more of an issue in 2025 as everything becomes more expensive. Everything. I can tell you my wait list only gets longer. Another reason why we are turning to AI is shame and control. AI can feel safer again, in quotation marks, for those who are just listening to the ears version of this, it can feel like you have control over who sees this information, like, it feels like you can admit things in silence, and that nobody's ever going to see these prompts that you're putting in, and you can control the outcome of it. When in reality, that is truly not the case. None of that information is protected. And ChatGPT can actually do anything they want with your information, regardless of what you put in it. They can do anything with that information that you are giving them for free. I know from my neurodivergent folks, many of them, they find comfort in a structured response. So knowing what's coming next, being able to slow down how they respond can feel really, really good. So it can feel like they have more control than they actually do. And when you are having these conversations, there is an illusion of being heard. Again, in quotation marks. It feels like you're being heard by something that can't hurt you, because even though it's responding in a human fashion, you know that this thing can't come out of the screen and get you. So truly, AI safety isn't real safety. It's predictability. And that, it's seductive. There's really no other way to put it. It's seductive for people who've been hurt by unpredictable humans. And that's all of us at some point in our lives. So I really want to take a moment with my fellow therapists. I think these reflection questions are things that we need to be thinking of within our clinical responsibilities, because we don't yet, and let me be very heavy on the yet, have guidance from our associations. So those of you who are listening who are clients only, we join different associations to say that we will abide by that association's ethics requirements. And it helps us with networking, and it also gives us a way to collectively think through things like this. And so we haven't quite gotten guidance, and I'm not saying that any of our associations are failing here. I think they're trying to be. I know that the American Counseling Association and I belong to the Washington State Mental Health Counselors Association, as well as the American Associations for Sex Therapists and Educators. I know that they are trying to think through this thoughtfully, but without that guidance yet, I think as therapists, we need to think through these things. So I think number one reflection question for us is, how do I ethically assess AI use during an intake with a new person? So how do I know if my person who's a new person coming to me is using AI? How are they using it? And how can I ask those questions without judgment? Because AI is a hot topic right now. Of course, I'm doing this episode. And also, though, like, I know I have been talking with so many people, clients and my fellow therapists out there in the world, who have a very quick judgment about it. They have a very quick response to it. And so what I really want all of you to be thinking through for your own reflection before you do an intake with somebody is, how do I look at how someone is using AI during my first intake with them? Are you going to add questions to your intake form that regarding AI use? Are you going to disclose to any of your clients or patients that maybe you're using AI to generate some journal prompts for them? How do you, as the clinician, see AI within your work? I think that is going to require a level of transparency from all of us that many of us haven't even had time to think through, because, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of us are burnt out. A lot of us are just trying to figure out this new wasteland that is 2025. So this additional wave of change is very, very difficult to try to force your way through. So my challenge to all of you therapists is to zoom out the best you can and come at it, and this is how I'm coming at AI, through harm reduction. How do we engage with AI? We don't necessarily have to be using it ourselves, but how do we engage with it with our people if they're already using it? How do we talk about it? How do we talk about how they're using it? How do we help them build skills around it? What risks exist when clients share identifying data? Now, I've been talking to my fellow clinicians about this, and I talk to my clients about this all of the time, that AI does not protect your information. The end. It does not. And it is my responsibility as the therapist to protect that information. So helping my people understand those risks, to me, I think is really, really important, because as therapists, I believe we are the protectors of the clinical record, if that makes sense. Not saying that we have to protect the entire clinical record, but the stuff that we're responsible for. And I think people deserve the right to know who can see and who knows their information, and what information do we take about them. Are you using an AI note taker? How are you, the clinician, using AI? Another question to think through is, how does AI blur informed consent, documentation, and risk management? This is a huge one. Now, I've already released this episode. Go listen. If you're a therapist, go listen to my EHR episode that I broke down each EHR, electronic health record system, and the ones that are the most popular, and really think through the informed consent, how you document these things, and the risks. If you're a client out there, you are probably the next time you go to your doctor or your therapist, you are probably being asked, do you mind if I use an AI note taker? Or do you mind if I use this app on my phone that will take all of the notes for our interaction? You may have already come across this. So I think all parties need to be very, very thoughtful about risk management when it comes to AI. I talked to and so many of you have maybe heard my episode for therapists that I featured my husband, Erika Miley, who's a healthcare and cybersecurity expert. I think through all the time the number of technological new things we've been through as far as elder millennials and Gen Xers and millennials. The number of us have seen the technology change so much in our lifetime. And I say all the time, like, we were the ones who the internet was tested on. The beginnings of the internet was tested on. And here we are again with another revolution. And AI is being tested on all of us. And we're trying to navigate this with no guardrails at all. So all of us, I think, from regardless of which side of the chair you are on, come at it from a risk management perspective. A therapeutic example, a way you could ask your client, you could say, I'm curious about what you found helpful about using AI for emotional support. What are some of the things it gives you that people don't, and vice versa? And so you clients out there listening, I want you to think through that question. I want you to think through, what does this give me that people in my life don't, and vice versa? Essentially, I want you to be thinking through, is my AI use a digital coping mechanism? Not necessarily harmful, but it's got to be contextualized. I mean, it went everywhere on TikTok. We listen and we don't judge, but then it's all over the face of the judgment, right? So when we're thinking and talking and asking about AI, we have to listen or ask and don't judge. Document its use as you would journaling, self-help apps, or online communities. That's what we can do for now. Now, that might change as soon as we hear from all of our associations what the expectations are probably going to be, but we've got to keep track of it. So my call to therapists is that we have to insist that our professional associations clarify our ethical boundaries and obligations in this new landscape, so we know what to do next. Because we don't know, for all of you who are listening, all of us therapists carry liability insurance. And we don't know what it means right now if somebody's using an AI tool while they're seeing us and they end their life, what our responsibility is to know that or not. And what are those boundaries around that? What is a clinician responsible for? What does that mean for our liability? I know that that's a hard thing to think through, but also we all have new obligations in this landscape. So I really want to think about it I've already mentioned it in the episode, from the lens of, again, zoom out, and we're going to look at this from, okay, let's reduce harm. Harm reduction is the lay of the land for all of us. How can we reduce harm to ourselves? And how, as therapists, can we help reduce harm to our people? So for therapists, I want you normalizing the curiosity. Like, it is a brand spanking new tool. Tell me how this helps you think. Tell me how this sounds to you. Tell me how you think it might help with our work. Definitely avoid shaming or tech moralizing. I think some people know what AI is doing to the environment, but I think a lot of people don't know. And so we do really have to come at it as clinicians with curiosity and not judging. This is, again, not easy because there's some therapists out here that know a lot. There's some clients out here that know a lot. And so I think it's very difficult to not have that knee-jerk reaction. So tech AI literacy is going to be the name of the game, therapists. Knowing what data gets stored, who reads it, and what hallucinations are. Quotation marks around hallucinations, because they mean something different for us therapists than they do when it does for AI. A hallucination within AI is when there is no information for it to pull from to get you the appropriate fact that you were looking for, and it just makes it up. It uses context clues within the language to make it up to please you with an answer. By please you, I mean it is part of the algorithm to make you keep using it. And hallucinations are not a bug. It's not an accident. It is a feature of things like ChatGPT and Claude and all of the other AI language learning models. For all of the clients out there in the world, all my clients, all of the other therapist clients, please think about when you're using a ChatGPT or a Claude or whichever one you use it to reflect, not replace therapy. Use it as a place to maybe jot down your thoughts in a reflective way, knowing that you are getting a mirror back to yourself and it is not an expert in any way. Please, 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 please do not share personal health information or trauma narratives. Do not put your birth date in there. Do not put your entire family history of trauma in there. Do not, do not, do not. Again, OpenAI, the owner of ChatGPT, has no consequences if they take all that information and they sell it to another company. Never, ever use AI in a crisis situation. Please, for Pete's sake. If you are in crisis, AI is likely going to give you a hallucination, something that is not true. And it may even double down on some of the thoughts of harming yourself, or it might even double down on some of the negative thinking patterns that you have gotten into. Please, 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 whether your therapist asks for it or not, bring AI generated material into therapy, not instead of therapy. I find for myself, I need to know what my people have named their chats, what they're doing in them. And I even tell them, I'm like, okay, if you want this to actually like support you within therapy, we can make it do that. There is a very small amount of literature research that is showing us that when a chatbot is used with a licensed professional who is helping the person use it and guiding their use of it. So again, bring that AI generated material into therapy, not instead of therapy. I really truly do take it upon myself to know how people are using it. And like I was saying before I needed to pause because I am a mom and this is what happens, that I take it upon myself to know exactly what they're using, because we have a small amount of research that shows that there are some benefits to having AI support within therapy, not instead of therapy, and that the therapist is guiding the person in its use. It can be and I can say from my own clinical experience that is the case, that I actually teach my people how to explore things in a way that is already how they're doing it in therapy. So it essentially allows people to be able to reinforce the things that they're already working on in session. I might just this week, and it's Monday, just this week, I was saying, oh, hey, like pull up chat before we're done and let's see what was the last few things you've talked to about it, and talk them through the answers and how they feel about those answers, and how accurate they feel those answers are. And then I might even give them some ideas. I might even I might email them some journal prompts to put in there, and to say like, okay, I want you to also add this prompt to this chat to help this chat be as effective for you as it possibly can be. So I've seen the shifts and changes in my people with being able to reinforce some of the things they're already doing in an open and transparent way when we're using that AI chatbot together as a team to help direct my client's care. AI truly can be your thoughts and feelings partner, but it's not your protector. Truly, it is not. And it's not your therapist. Because I can hold it accountable at minimum to help you challenge that chat to be able to get it back on track and get it to be helpful for you and not harmful to you. Now, is it guaranteed that we can protect you from all harm from it? No. And that's why we're talking about this. So what I really, really want all of you thinking through, first for my therapists, we got to advocate with our associations, right? We have to email me, which I email them. Not me. Please don't email me as if I'm your association. I don't want those emails. But our associations truly can help us tell things like insurance companies, because this is one of my primary concerns as a clinician, is that AI is going to become a barrier to care. Insurance companies, I would envision them trying to use AI chatbots as an alternative, cheaper way for people to get care first before they're allowed to talk to a therapist in person, whether it be telehealth or in person in an office. And so therapists, we got to tell our associations that that's not okay. Our associations can help us lobby insurance companies and tell them that they must not use AI as a care substitute. It cannot be. The end. No, cannot. We have to push for explicit ethical guidelines on how AI can be used in therapy or not, because it's already being used. And again, I'm not annoyed at our associations. I think they're trying, all of the people who are in these associations are trying to think slowly and thoughtfully about what we need to be doing as clinicians. Therapists, we have to demand transparency on data handling from our electronic health records or electronic medical record systems and platform vendors. We cannot sign any of these terms of conditions or anything like that without knowing exactly where the data is going, how it's being stored, and if they plan to do anything with that data, like sell it to who knows, whichever company offers them the most money. If we truly don't define what ethical AI use looks like in therapy, insurance companies absolutely will, and they'll do it to save money and not protect our clients. We all know that. Our clients know that. We all bitch and moan about how insurance companies are killing us all. And as of today, we all know how much more expensive insurance is about to become. So AI is going to look really, really seductive and tantalizing, not only to insurance companies, but to our people, because you get a lot out of free accounts with a lot of these chatbots. So for our clients out there, for our patients out there, AI does not protect your information like a licensed therapist or other licensed medical professional does. If you're using AI to process your emotions, bring that work to your therapist. Truly, we want to know. We want to know how it's working. We want to know how it's not working. We want to understand how it's helping you, or is it making it harder for you to have interactions with other people? Ask your therapist to help you use these tools safely and reflectively. Specifically, like I tell my people, and you can use this, especially if you don't have a therapist right now, but I'm not your therapist. But you can say, I really want you to respond to me by asking me questions about this thing that I just told you. Or you can also say, hey, there's this therapy perspective that I've heard about called CBT. cognitive behavioral therapy, or one of my favorite perspectives, compassion-focused therapy. Could you ask me questions and respond to me from that perspective? It is not therapy, but it is then more guided from what exists on the internet around those perspectives that licensed therapists use. Now, again, I'm coming at it from a harm reduction lens. This is not legal advice in any way, and this is not a substitution for therapy. I don't know how many times I gotta say it. So, as we wrap up, the future of therapy will include AI, but it can't replace human care. We need to make sure that is a tool for reflection and not control. I hope this crossover episode was helpful to you. The next episode in this series is going to be about AI and sexual relationships, romantic relationships. This one was more general and aimed at both all of the clients and all of the therapists and medical professionals. The next one, it's definitely going to be spicy, and it's kind of a wild time. It is definitely a wild time to exist. I know you all are doing your best out there. Thanks for sticking around to the end. If you are a therapist and you want to get a continuing education credit for this, you can head over to twoxlabs.org. TWO, the letter X, labs.org. If you are a listener of now the soft science, thank you. Welcome. Former Sex Talk with Erika Miley listeners, welcome. Keep your eyes open. Stay tuned for what's next. Soft science listeners, I am thinking about having some real-time sex therapy sessions for you to be able to listen to, at least partially listen to, and then have the rest of the session on Patreon. So if that's something you're interested in, shoot me an email, Erika, ERIKA, @erikamiley.com. All right, y'all. Keep surviving. Do your best. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.